A long time ago, before Google Maps, airplanes, or even horses, there was the Silk Road. It is one of the world's oldest and most extensive trade routes and is considered the origin of globalization. Stretching over 4,000 miles, it facilitated trade between the East and the West for centuries. It connected not only merchants, but also historians, explorers, scientists, astronomers, and religions. And one of the religions that traveled along this route was Islam. It started in Mecca in the 7th century CE and spread across Asia and even parts of Europe thanks to the Silk Road. Let's take a journey back in time and see how the Silk Road helped spread Islam. In the early days, the Silk Road wasn't just about silk. Although silk was the main commodity traded from China, other items like spices, porcelain, and jade were also popular. But the road got its name because silk was the most important item traded from the East. For the Westerners, silk was more than just a luxury fabric. They thought it was a divine gift due to its softness and luster. So the desire for silk led many explorers and merchants to venture into Central Asia and China, where it was produced. The growth of Islam began when Prophet Muhammad migrated from Mecca to Medina in 620 to CE. This migration, known as the Hijra, marked the beginning of the Islamic calendar and established Islam, an independent religion. After facing persecution in Mecca, Prophet Muhammad found refuge in Medina, where he formed a community of Muslims. He established the foundation of Islamic society, including its legal, political, and social systems. From Medina, Islam started to spread, and within a century, most of the Arabian Peninsula had accepted it. As Islam spread across Arabia, three major caliphates emerged. First, the Rashidun Caliphate, which lasted from 632 to 661 CE, was established after the death of Prophet Muhammad. It was characterized by the rapid expansion of Islam into surrounding regions. Next, the Umayyad Caliphate ruled from 661 to 750 CE with its capital in Damascus. During this period, Islam continued to spread, extending into North Africa, Spain, and Central Asia. Finally, the Abbasid Caliphate lasted from 750 to 1258 CE with Baghdad as its capital. It witnessed the golden age of Islam, known for advancements in science, trade, and culture. Islam's spread to Central Asia can be attributed to several factors. Firstly, the region's proximity to the Arabian Peninsula allowed for the early transmission of Islamic teachings. Secondly, the presence of trading centers and caravan sites along the Silk Road facilitated the movement of Muslim traders and missionaries. These traders established communities and played a significant role in promoting Islam among local populations. Thirdly, the political structure of Central Asia at the time consisted of numerous small city-states and tribal confederations. This fragmented political landscape made it easier for Islam to gain a foothold, as local rulers often competed for alliances and support. Fourthly, Islam's message of monotheism and equality appealed to some Central Asian groups who may have been dissatisfied with existing religious beliefs and practices. Finally, the Islamic emphasis on trade and commerce resonated with the mercantile interests of many Central Asian societies, leading to the adoption of Islam in various cities along the Silk Road. Among the Muslim travelers and preachers who contributed to the spread of Islam in Central Asia was the renowned traveler and merchant Abu Abdullah al-Bakri. He is credited with reaching Xi'an, the eastern terminus of the Silk Road, in 970 for CE. His travelogue, The Book of the Marvels of China, provided valuable insights into the culture and geography of China during the 10th century. It was based on his extensive travels across Central Asia and China. Another notable figure was Ahmad ibn Fadlan, a member of the Volga, Bulgaria embassy, who traveled to Baghdad in 921 or 920 to CE. His first-hand account of the Abbasid Caliphate's court and society offers a glimpse into the intellectual and cultural atmosphere of the time. Both Abu Abdullah al-Bakri and Ahmad ibn Fadlan played roles in fostering cultural exchanges and understanding between Muslim and non-Muslim societies along the Silk Road, contributing to the spread of Islamic influence in the region. Central Asia became a crucial hub for trade due to its strategic location between East Asia, South Asia, and the Middle East. Cities like Kashgar, Fargana, and Samarkand flourished as merchants from different regions congregated there exchanging their goods. The growing Muslim population in these cities contributed to the establishment of mosques, madrasas, and libraries, fostering Islamic scholarship and education. The Samanids, a Persian tribe from Central Asia, played a pivotal role in the Islamic conquest of the region. They actively converted local populations, built mosques, and promoted trade along the Silk Road. Their efforts resulted in the flourishing of Islam in cities like Bukhara and Samarkand. Under the Samanids, Bukhara and Samarkand became centers of Islamic scholarship, attracting Muslim scholars from across Central Asia. Madrasas, which are Islamic schools, were established to teach subjects like theology, law, and literature. Libraries were also built, housing vast collections of Islamic texts and scientific works. After the Samanids, the Timurid Empire further consolidated Islam in Central Asia. Timur, the founder of the empire, was a devout Muslim who commissioned the construction of mosques and shrines. His grandson, Mirza Ulagbek, built the Ulagbek Observatory in Samarkand, which became one of the largest and most advanced astronomical observatories of its time. In China, the arrival of Islam occurred during the Tang dynasty, which lasted from 618 to 907 CE. Arab merchants traveling along the Silk Road played a significant role in introducing Islam to China. They established trading posts and communities in major ports such as Canton, now known as Guangzhou. The first mosque in China, the Quba Mosque, was built in the 7th century in the city of Xi'an, which served as a terminal of the Silk Road. Over the years, Muslim communities consisting of traders, diplomats, and scholars thrived in cities like Guangzhou and Quanzhou. They engaged in commercial activities while also sharing their religious beliefs and cultural practices with the local population. Chinese Muslims, also known as Hua people, have preserved their Islamic traditions and identity for centuries. In Guangzhou, the Uxu Mosque stands as a testament to the early establishment of Islam in the city. Built in the 12th century, it is one of the oldest mosques in China and showcases a unique architectural style that blends Islamic and Chinese elements. The mosque's minarets and domes are adorned with intricate designs and calligraphy, reflecting the cultural exchange that took place along the Silk Road. In the West, Muslim traders from the Middle East reached Europe primarily through two routes. The northern route led them to Central Asia and Eastern Europe, while the southern route took them to North Africa and the Iberian Peninsula. In Sicily, Muslim traders played a key role in facilitating trade between the Middle East and the western part of the island. They brought with them goods such as spices, fabrics, and glassware from their homelands, which were highly sought after in the European markets. In return, they carried products from Sicily, including wine, textiles, and agricultural produce back to the Middle East. Muslim traders not only contributed to the economy of Sicily, but also introduced new goods and commodities to both regions. Muslim traders transporting Islamic goods into Europe via Sicily and Andalusia had a significant impact on the transmission of Islamic knowledge and culture to the West. Through their interactions with European merchants and scholars, Muslims shared scientific and mathematical concepts, including the Hindu-Arabic numeral system and advanced geometric principles. These ideas were instrumental in shaping the intellectual advancements of the European Renaissance. To facilitate trade and cultural exchange, Muslim merchants established trading centers, caravanserais, and mosques along their routes. These establishments served as hubs for merchants to rest, conduct business, and exchange ideas. Mosques also provided a space for prayer and communal activities, fostering a sense of community among Muslim traders away from their homelands. Furthermore, Muslim scholars and intellectuals in Sicily and Andalusia played a crucial role in translating Arabic texts into Latin, making them accessible to European scholars. This process of translation facilitated the transfer of knowledge in fields such as astronomy, medicine, and philosophy from the Islamic world to Europe. Notable figures like Gerard of Cremona and Adelard of Bath were instrumental in translating scientific and mathematical works, contributing to the intellectual ferment of the European Renaissance. The spread of Islam along the Silk Road had a profound impact on the world. It fostered cultural exchange, promoted trade, and influenced scientific advancements. The contributions of Muslim traders, scholars, and intellectuals connected distant civilizations and left a lasting legacy on the course of history. By understanding the role of Islam in shaping the Silk Road, we gain a deeper appreciation for the interconnectedness of our world and the enduring impact of cross-cultural interactions. The World Economy, A History of Globalization, Chapter 2, Part 6. In ancient times, maritime trade routes served as vital arteries connecting the East and the West. They carried not only tangible goods such as silk, spices, and gold, but also ideas, cultures, and religions. One such religion that found its way across these essential networks was Islam, which spread from the Arabian Peninsula to distant shores, forming bridges between seemingly disparate civilizations. Now, to be sure, we've touched upon the beginnings of Islamic expansion into Persia, North Africa, and the Iberian Peninsula in previous episodes. But now it's time to turn our attention to the seafarers of Islam and their impact on the Indian Ocean world. You might have heard the phrase, "all roads lead to Rome." Well, in the medieval era, one could say, "all seas lead to Mecca," and I'll tell you how. But first, as always, a quick word from our sponsor. The Indian Ocean was an ideal passage for merchants and travelers because of its predictable monsoon winds. Starting from the 7th century CE onward, Muslim traders, particularly Arabs and Persians, began sailing from ports such as Basra, Siraf, and Oman toward the coasts of India, Sri Lanka, and Southeast Asia. Their journeys were not merely commercial ventures, but also carried the teachings of Islam, which found receptive ears among local populations. At the same time, the overland Silk Roads buzzed with pilgrims and merchants spreading from the Middle East to Central Asia and China. However, maritime routes often provided a safer and faster alternative, especially with advancements in navigation and shipbuilding. Thus, coastal cities such as Calicut, Malacca, and Sumatra became hubs of Islamic influence. Muslim merchants established trading posts and settlements along these routes. For instance, the port of Mogadishu in Somalia became a significant hub for the export of ivory and incense, while the island of Madagascar off the coast of East Africa emerged as a center for the production of cotton textiles. These maritime networks facilitated not just the exchange of goods, but also of people, ideas, and religious beliefs. The journey of these Muslim traders and missionaries across the Indian Ocean was not a singular one. Many different groups contributed to the spread of Islam in this region. Let me tell you about some of them. First, let's talk about the Arabs. Arab sailors and traders from the Arabian Peninsula were among the first to explore and exploit the monsoon winds of the Indian Ocean. They ventured into the Persian Gulf and the Gulf of Oman, establishing important trading centers like Muscat. From there, they reached the shores of India and East Africa, carrying with them the message of Islam. Then we have the Persians. Fleeing persecution in their homeland due to their Shia beliefs, many Persians sought refuge in the welcoming arms of India. They settled in coastal regions, and some became part of the Indian military, contributing to the naval defense of the mighty Chola dynasty. While in India, they continued to practice their unique form of Islam and played a significant role in trade along the western coast. The Ismailis were another influential group. This sect of Shia Muslims, known for their missionary zeal, spread Islam along the eastern coast of Africa, particularly in Tanzania and Kenya. Their efforts led to the establishment of thriving Muslim communities in these regions. The Indian Muslims, also known as the Miaos, were another important group. Originating from the Indo-Aryan and Indo-Scythian peoples of northwest India, these communities were converted to Islam through peaceful means and played a crucial role in the early spread of the faith in South Asia. They were known for their distinct customs and traditions, which blended elements of Islam with local cultural practices. The role of individual leaders and scholars was also instrumental in the growth of Islam in the Indian Ocean world. Sayyidina, also known as Sheikh Abdul Qadir al-Jilani, was a revered Sufi mystic and preacher who greatly influenced the development of Islam in India. His teachings emphasizing love, tolerance, and service played a pivotal role in attracting many followers. Another prominent figure was Shah Waliullah, a descendant of the Prophet Muhammad. Born in Delhi, he is remembered for his efforts in spreading Islam and promoting communal harmony. He emphasized the importance of Sufism, a mystical form of Islam that focuses on inward spiritual experiences and the path to enlightenment. And then there was Jamal al-Din al-Suyuti, a renowned Egyptian scholar and historian who lived during the 15th and 16th centuries. He made significant contributions to various fields of knowledge, including Islamic theology, literature, history, and astronomy. Al-Suyuti's works provided valuable insights into the intellectual and cultural aspects of Islam, the medieval period. It is important to understand that the spread of Islam across the Indian Ocean did not occur in a vacuum. It took place in a dynamic environment shaped by various factors and influences. The local cultures and religions of the regions through which Islam spread had a profound impact on its trajectory. For example, in Southeast Asia, animism, Hinduism, and Buddhism were prevalent, each influencing the way Islam was adopted and practiced. In Malaysia, for instance, the local Malay population blended elements of Islam with their existing beliefs and customs, resulting in a unique cultural expression. Furthermore, the interactions between Muslim traders and local communities played a vital role in the dissemination of Islamic teachings. The Muslim merchants did not merely arrive as outsiders preaching a foreign faith. They integrated into local societies, intermarried, and established thriving Muslim societies. This process fostered cultural exchanges, creating a sense of shared identity and facilitating the gradual acceptance of Islam. Moreover, the concept of tolerancia, or religious tolerance, promoted by some Muslim rulers and scholars, contributed significantly to the peaceful spread of Islam. By respecting and accommodating people of different faiths, Muslim authorities created an environment where non-Muslims felt safe to coexist and interact with their Muslim counterparts. To truly grasp the significance of Islam's arrival in the Indian Ocean world, we must delve into the heart of its teachings and see how they resonated with the people who encountered them. One key aspect that drew many to Islam was its message of equality and justice. In a world often marked by rigid social hierarchies and disparities, Islam adds emphasis on the inherent worth of all humans, regardless of their background, resonated deeply with those seeking a more equitable society. The concept of La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, which proclaims the oneness of God and the prophethood of Muhammad, offered a simple yet profound understanding of the divine. This monotheistic belief system provided a clear path to salvation and a direct connection to the Almighty, appealing to those who found solace in its simplicity and clarity. But Islam didn't just offer spiritual guidance. It also addressed the practical concerns of daily life. Its legal and ethical framework provided clear guidelines on how to conduct oneself in various situations, offering a sense of order and stability. The concept of Sharia, derived from the Arabic word meaning path or way of life, encompasses a wide range of Islamic teachings, including rituals, legal prescriptions, moral standards, and social norms. Sharia provided a comprehensive set of rules and principles governing various aspects of life, from personal hygiene and prayer to business transactions and community relations. Let us take a moment to pause and appreciate the profound impact that Islam had on the lives of those who embraced it. For many, it brought a sense of community and belonging, a support system that helped them navigate the complexities of life. The mosques became not just places of worship, but also centers of social life, education, and charity. The call to prayer echoed through the streets, reminding people to come together, to pray, and to reflect. The spirit of Ummah, or global Muslim community, transcended ethnic and linguistic boundaries, creating a sense of unity among followers around the world. However, it's important to recognize that the spread of Islam was not always a smooth or conflict-free process. There were instances of resistance, tension, and even violence as different communities grappled with the implications of this new faith. Yet despite these challenges, Islam continued to spread, adapting and evolving along the way. As we conclude our exploration of Islam's journey to the Indian Ocean, remember that this is just one chapter in a rich tapestry of history. Each thread, no matter how intricate, contributes to the vibrant pattern that shapes our world. The story of Islam's arrival in the Indian Ocean is a testament to the human spirit's capacity for both great feats and deep contemplation. It's a reminder that amidst the hustle and bustle of trade and exploration, the search for meaning and connection with the divine remains a constant thread in the tapestry of human existence. Thank you for joining me on this journey through time and for your generous support. If you enjoyed this episode, please don't forget to leave a like, share, and subscribe. Your engagement fuels my passion for bringing history to life. Until next time, may you find moments of joy and wonder in the everyday stories that surround us. The Silk Road wasn't just about silk, it was a vibrant conduit of culture, religion, and ideas that connected the East and West for over 1,000 years. And while many groups contributed to the exchange of goods and concepts along this vast network, few left an influence as profound and beautiful as Islamic civilization. This is our channel, and today we are going to look at how Islamic culture influenced art and science along the Silk Road. From the 7th century onward, as the Islamic State grew, cities like Baghdad, Damascus, Cairo, Samarkand, and Bukhara became seats of cultural and scientific brilliance. Islamic art and science radiated outward from these centers like ripples on a pond, touching and transforming civilizations across Eurasia. Let's start with art. When most people think of Islamic art, images of ornate mosques and delicate calligraphy spring to mind. And for good reason. These are hallmarks of Islamic aesthetics and central to its identity. But what is often overlooked is the way Islamic art blended and intertwined with local artistic traditions wherever Islam spread along the Silk Road. To understand this influence, let's first look at what made Islamic art unique. Unlike many other art forms, Islamic art did not depict the human form. This was due to a religious edict prohibiting the creation of images that could be perceived as idols. Instead, Islamic artists turned to geometry, Arabic calligraphy, and plant forms as their primary subjects. They created intricate, mesmerizing patterns that seemed to go on forever, a celebration of order and harmony that spoke of the divine. One of the most well-known examples of this is the arabesque, a decorative style based on the intersection of curves and straight lines and the repetition of motifs. This technique was used extensively in mosques, palaces, and manuscripts, adding a unique beauty to each surface it adorned. But Islamic art wasn't just confined to two-dimensional surfaces. It spilled over into three dimensions too. Islamic architecture was a fusion of practicality and poetry. Mosques, madrasas, and tombs were built with clean lines and harmonious proportions. Domes soared, minarets touched the sky, and intricate geometric patterns decorated every surface. Today, some of the most breathtaking buildings in the world stand as testaments to this legacy, such as the Dome of the Rock in Jerusalem, the Great Mosque of Samarkand, and the Blue Mosque in Istanbul. Now let's see how this unique art form interacted with others along the Silk Road. As Islam spread eastward, it encountered Buddhist, Hindu, and other traditions. In India, Islamic architecture blended with local decorative styles. Take the Jama Masjid in Delhi, for instance. Built in the 16th century, it features a large courtyard surrounded by arched gateways, a typical feature of Islamic architecture. But the mosque also incorporates Hindu elements, such as the use of red sandstone and the inclusion of Hindu deities in its decorative motifs. This blending of styles was a common feature of Islamic art in India. Further east, Islamic techniques found fertile ground in China. Chinese porcelain, famed for its quality and craftsmanship, absorbed these influences. Islamic patterns and motifs started appearing on ceramics, creating a fusion of Eastern and Islamic aesthetics. One of the most famous examples of this is the June porcelain produced during the Song dynasty, which incorporated Islamic-inspired designs. Similarly, when Islam reached Central Asia, it intertwined with the artistic traditions of the region. In cities like Kashgar and Hoden, local artisans started incorporating Islamic patterns and calligraphy into textiles and woodwork. This fusion gave rise to a unique style that blended the nomadic traditions of Central Asia with the sophistication of Islamic aesthetics. But Islamic art's influence wasn't limited to just the visual arts. Islamic music, too, made its presence felt along the Silk Road. Instruments like the oud, a pear-shaped lute, and the rubab, a spike fiddle, found their way into local musical traditions, adding a new dimension to the soundscape of Central Asia and the Middle East. Musicians traveled along the Silk Road, carrying with them not just their instruments, but also melodies and rhythms that wove themselves into the fabric of local music. While Islamic art added new elements to existing traditions, Islamic science was instrumental in preserving and advancing knowledge along the Silk Road. Muslim scholars acted as the vanguards of learning, ensuring that ancient texts didn't fade into oblivion and building upon these texts to create new frontiers of knowledge. Let's start with what they preserved. As the center of the Islamic world shifted from the Middle East to regions like Central Asia, scholars along the Silk Road kept alive the torch of learning that had been passed down from Greece, India, and Persia. They translated and preserved ancient texts on mathematics, astronomy, and medicine, ensuring that the wisdom of past civilizations didn't get lost. For instance, Muslim astronomers studied the star charts of Ptolemy, an ancient Greek astronomer, and then refined and expanded upon them. One such scholar was al-Biruni, who in the 11th century made significant improvements to Ptolemy's work and calculated the accurate size of the Earth. They also excelled in various fields. Muslim scholars made significant contributions in areas like algebra, optics, and geography. Al-Khwarizmi, a mathematician and astronomer, is considered the father of algebra. His work on algorithms laid the foundation for much of modern mathematics. In optics, Ibn al-Haytham, known as Al-Hazen in the West, made groundbreaking discoveries on the properties of light and vision. His book, The Book of Optics, was a monumental work that influenced European scientists for centuries. Muslim geographers were also keen observers and mapmakers. Al-Idrisi, an Arab geographer, created detailed maps of the known world, including the Tabula, a world map commissioned by the King of Sicily in 1154, and then there was medicine. Muslim doctors and scientists played a pivotal role in preserving and advancing medical knowledge. They translated the works of Greek physicians like Galen and Hippocrates, making them accessible to the broader Islamic world. Later, figures like Ibn Sina or Avicenna built upon this knowledge. His book, The Canon of Medicine, was a comprehensive medical encyclopedia that became a standard text in medical schools in both the East and the West for centuries. Another important figure was Ibn al-Nafis, who described the circulation of blood, laying the groundwork for modern cardiology. In astronomy, Muslim scholars were keen observers of the night sky. They established observatories and built advanced instruments to measure time and track celestial bodies. Al-Battani, a Muslim astronomer, made significant improvements to astronomical tables and was the first to use the sine function in astronomical calculations. These advances in astronomy were crucial for navigation along the Silk Road, helping merchants and travelers keep accurate track of time and position. Papermaking also played a critical role in preserving and disseminating knowledge along the Silk Road. The introduction of paper to the Islamic world, likely through Chinese immigrants working along the Silk Road, had a profound impact. Not only was paper cheaper and lighter than papyrus or parchment, it also facilitated the mass production of books. Muslim calligraphers, renowned for their skill in the art of calligraphy, created beautiful manuscripts that were prized possessions for libraries and scholars. These manuscripts not only served as repositories of knowledge, but also as works of art, But the influence wasn't just about preserving and advancing knowledge. It was also about sharing it. Muslim scholars and merchants carried text and ideas with them wherever they went. A manuscript on mathematics in Baghdad might find its way to a scholar in Cordoba, while a medical text in Damascus could end up in the hands of a physician in Samarkand. This exchange of knowledge helped create centers of learning along the Silk Road, such as the House of Wisdom in Baghdad, where scholars from different cultures came together to translate and study ancient texts. Overall, Islamic culture served as a bridge between civilizations along the Silk Road. Ideas, arts, and sciences flowed through it, enriching the entirety of human heritage. As we continue to explore the Silk Road and its impact on world history, it's essential to recognize the significant contributions of Islamic civilization. Their achievements in art, science, and culture not only shaped the course of history, but also left us with a rich tapestry of beauty and knowledge that continues to inspire and amaze us today. Thank you for watching this episode. If you enjoyed it, please remember to like and subscribe. Your support helps us bring these stories to more people and keep the journey of discovery along the Silk Road alive. Trade routes of the world. Across Central Asia and the Middle East stretch the trade routes that were once known as the Silk Road. For over 1,500 years, they served as an artery through which the riches of the East flowed into Western Eurasia. Along these routes, a steady stream of merchants from what is now Iran, Turkey, and the Caucasus adopted Islam, gradually transforming these regions into predominantly Muslim lands. But why did these merchants become Muslims? To answer that question, let's look at one of the busiest trading centers of the era, the Central Asian city of Bukhara. Merchants from around the world gathered there to trade their wares. One might have come from India with spices and fine cotton textiles, another from China with silk or porcelain. There were also merchants from Persia, Mesopotamia, and the elongated states, each bringing with them goods that were rare in Bukhara. In the markets of Bukhara, merchants of different religions lived side by side. Some were Nestorian Christians, others Zoroastrians, while some followed the teachings of Buddha. They spoke different languages and worshipped according to the customs of their respective religions. However, in the hustle and bustle of the marketplace, differences seemed less important than common goals. All were united by the desire to buy low and sell high, and all wanted to stay safe on the journey. After all, the roads connecting the cities of the Silk Road were dangerous. As the Islamic State expanded rapidly in the 7th century, merchants started noticing the advantages of Islam. As more and more cities fell under its sway, the Muslim community grew increasingly powerful. By the mid-700s, Bukhara was part of the Umayyad Caliphate, just as Baghdad, the capital of the expanding Abbasid Caliphate, became home to merchants from all over the world. At the time, the Caliphate's army protected trade along the Silk Roads, ensuring the safety of merchants within its borders. Moreover, Islam offered a safer business environment than what many merchants were used to. You see, most non-Muslim merchants belonged to small ethnic groups scattered along the Silk Road. On their own, they were easily exploited by local rulers who levied heavy taxes on their caravans. But when they entered an Islamic state, things changed. In Islam, the concept of Sharia or divine law governed not just religious rituals, but every aspect of a Muslim's life, including commerce. According to Islamic teachings, merchants could no longer charge interest on loans, a practice known as riba. Nor could they cheat their customers or engage in fraud. These rules applied to everyone regardless of their ethnicity or form of religion. However, the most important rule for merchants was that Islam prohibited the charging of interest or riba. Charging interest was considered exploitative and went against the principles of fairness. Instead, Islam encouraged profit sharing or mudaraba in business partnerships. This created a more equitable business environment compared to the prevalent systems of the time. Further, the introduction of zakat, or obligatory charity, helped alleviate poverty among Muslims, leading to a more stable and secure society that was less prone to unrest and exploitation. To be sure, many merchants quickly noticed these advantages and converted to Islam. Others, though, remained skeptical. Not wanting to lose their ancestral traditions and fearing the strict rules of Islam, they questioned the need to abandon their old ways, especially since they were able to coexist peacefully with their Muslim counterparts. That is until the Abbasid Revolution of 747, which was led by merchants from the Arabian Peninsula and Central Asia. The new Abbasid rulers took control of the trade routes of the Silk Road and made it clear that from then on, they wanted to deal exclusively with Muslim merchants. While the new regime did not force non-Muslims out of their empire, it did limit their ability to trade. Many merchants had no choice but to convert if they wanted to continue doing business. By the year 800, Islam had become the dominant religion along the Silk Road. However, keep in mind that many of these merchants came from small ethnic groups and often found themselves caught between the rising tide of Islam and the cultures of the people around them. Take the Caucasian merchants, for example. They were caught between the influence of Arab Muslims to their south and east and the Byzantine Christians to their west. Faced with pressure to conform, they often chose to adopt the dominant religion of the region, whether Islam or Christianity. But in the end, this meant that over the course of several generations, these merchants gradually transformed the societies in which they lived. And as we said, it wasn't just about economics. The expansion of Islam along the Silk Road was driven by numerous factors, including the personal experiences of individual merchants. Consider, for instance, the figure of Amr ibn al-As, a successful merchant from Medina who undertook a pilgrimage to Mecca. During his travels, he encountered various peoples and religions, which sparked his curiosity about different cultures. His journey coincided with the rise of Islam, and upon returning to Medina, he decided to explore the teachings of this new faith. Ultimately, his experiences on the pilgrimage, combined with his exposure to diverse cultures and his personal reflection, led him to embrace Islam. His story reflects a broader trend among merchants who, due to their profession, had extensive exposure to multiple cultures and religions, which often prompted them to examine their own beliefs and consider alternative perspectives. Their encounters with different cultures may have led them to reject aspects of their own traditions and customs, instead choosing to adopt practices from other religions that they deemed more suitable to their beliefs. For example, some merchants might have been drawn to the egalitarian teachings of Islam, which emphasized equality among all believers regardless of their social status or ethnic background. This would have been appealing to merchants who, like many small traders, often face discrimination and exploitation at the hands of more powerful members of society. But ultimately, the decision to convert to Islam was a highly personal one based on individual experiences and perceptions of the world. It was not simply a reaction to external influences or pressures, but rather a complex process shaped by a multitude of factors. Merchants' interactions with different cultures and religions while traveling the Silk Road often led to questioning traditional beliefs and exploring new ideas. Their personal reflections on their experiences and encounters further shaped their understanding of the world and influenced their decisions to convert to Islam. So we can't talk about the Silk Road without acknowledging the pivotal role that merchants played in spreading Islam from Central Asia to the Caucasus and beyond. Along these trade routes, merchants didn't just transport goods, they carried with them the seeds of a new faith. But wait, there's more to the story. While many merchants along the Silk Road converted to Islam, others clung tightly to their original faiths. Nestorian Christians, for instance, maintained their traditions despite the growing presence of Islam. How did they manage to hold on to their faith in the face of such a powerful force? To find out, let's take a look at one of their most important centers, the city of Kashgar in present-day China. Kashgar was a crucial stop along the southern branch of the Silk Road and hosted a vibrant community of Nestorian merchants. These merchants were primarily engaged in the trade of textiles, spices, and precious metals. They had close ties to the larger Christian communities in Central Asia and the Middle East, which provided them with religious guidance and support. Despite the challenges posed by the growing influence of Islam, Kashgar's Nestorian merchants successfully preserved their cultural and religious identity for several centuries. A key factor in their success was their commitment to education and scholarship. Nestorian Christians placed a strong emphasis on literacy and intellectual pursuits, which enabled them to maintain a continuous record of their history and traditions. They established schools and monasteries where the Bible was translated into local languages and religious texts were studied. This fostered a sense of continuity and cultural cohesion among the Nestorian community in Kashgar. Moreover, they actively engaged in missionary work, spreading Christianity to the local populations in Kashgar and beyond. While they did not convert large numbers to Christianity, their efforts to share their faith contributed to the preservation of their religious identity. The merchants of Kashgar skillfully navigated the complexities of the Silk Road, building alliances and forming partnerships with both Muslim and non-Muslim traders. They actively participated in local economic activities, contributing to the prosperity of Kashgar and gaining favor from local authorities. Through their economic contributions, they secured a degree of protection and autonomy, allowing them to maintain their distinct cultural and religious practices. Despite the challenges they faced, the Nestorian merchants of Kashgar managed to preserve their Christian traditions, demonstrating remarkable resilience and adaptability in the face of a changing world. Their story stands as a testament to the enduring power of faith and the importance of cultural preservation in a globalized world. Now, while Nestorian merchants held fast to their faith, others like the Saudians of Central Asia gradually embraced the customs and traditions of the region, becoming so integrated that it's difficult to distinguish them from the Muslims they lived alongside. What's more, after the 9th century, the trade of the Silk Road began to decline as new trade routes opened up across the Indian Ocean. But this does not mean that Islam's hold on Central Asia and the Caucasus weakened. On the contrary, Islam continued to thrive in these regions, laying the foundation for the Muslim states that would emerge in later centuries. So while the Silk Road may have faded into history, the legacy of Islam along these ancient trade routes continues to endure. Thanks for watching. See you next time. For many centuries, Southeast Asia had been a vital commercial hub connecting the East and the West, where extensive trade networks spread across its ports and coasts, transporting not only material goods, but also ideas and beliefs. Islam found a natural presence in this region thanks to Muslim merchants who traveled across seas and oceans, carrying the teachings of the new religion without coercion or imposition, but rather through daily interaction and peaceful coexistence with local populations. The arrival of Islam in the Malay archipelago, the Indonesian islands, and the Philippines occurred gradually, with the first Islamic centers emerging in major port cities such as Malacca, Sumatra, and Java. These cities played a pivotal role in welcoming merchants from the Islamic world, particularly Arabs, Persians, and Indian Muslims, who were not merely sellers and buyers, but also indirect preachers of the faith. Through their daily dealings and their introduction to Islamic principles in transactions and ethics, the locals began to be drawn to this religion, which emphasized justice and equality. One of the key factors that facilitated the acceptance of Islam in this region was its flexibility and ability to adapt to local customs and traditions. Islam in Southeast Asia was not an exact replica of Middle Eastern Islam, but rather blended with elements of local culture, making it more acceptable. For example, some communities retained certain traditional rituals related to agriculture and marriage, but reinterpreted them within an Islamic framework. Similarly, local architectural styles were incorporated into mosque designs, making them more harmonious with the local environment. Local rulers also played a role in accelerating the spread of Islam, as many saw that embracing the new religion strengthened their political and commercial standing. Kingdoms such as the Sultanate of Malacca and the Sultanate of Asat aligned with Muslim traders, transforming these kingdoms into centers of Islamic influence. This alliance helped reinforce Islamic identity in the region without erasing local identities, creating a unique cultural fusion. In literature and the arts, local writings were influenced by the Quran and the prophetic biography, producing literary works that blended folk tales with Islamic values. Religious schools peasantry also spread, becoming centers for teaching Islam in local languages, making it more accessible to the general population. Thus, the spread of Islam in Southeast Asia was not merely a religious change, but a comprehensive civilizational transformation that combined Islamic doctrine with local heritage, shaping a new identity that distinguished the region from the rest of the Islamic world. It is important to mention that despite the relative harmony in the spread of Islam in Southeast Asia, there were still challenges and differences between the various local Muslim communities. Differences in language, customs, and traditions created a fragmentation that sometimes led to internal conflicts. However, these conflicts were mainly limited to local levels and did not escalate into major sectarian conflicts, unlike what happened in other parts of the Muslim world. Moreover, Islam contributed to the creation of a sense of unity among Muslims in Southeast Asia, regardless of their ethnic or linguistic diversity, as they shared a common faith that transcended their differences. They began to see themselves as part of a larger global community of Muslims, which opened up new horizons for cooperation and exchange. So what are the main factors that made Southeast Asia Muslim? The first factor was the role of trade and commercial activity. As we mentioned earlier, Muslim merchants from different parts of the Islamic world came to Southeast Asia to conduct business and exchange goods. They did not come as conquerors or missionaries, but as ordinary people who wanted to earn a living and provide for their families. But they carried with them the message of Islam, which is part of the essence of every Muslim's life. The mere fact that these merchants dealt with Muslims from various backgrounds contributed to creating a distinctive atmosphere that introduced the local population to the basics of Islam and its teachings. The second factor was the absence of violence and coercion in spreading Islam in Southeast Asia. Islam arrived peacefully and naturally, allowing people to choose their religion freely. This approach had a significant impact on the way Islam took root in Southeast Asian societies. People were not forced to abandon their old beliefs and customs, but rather they were attracted to Islam because it offered a message of tolerance, equality, and justice. This method of spreading Islam contributed to creating a tolerant and open society that accepted people of different religions and cultures. The third factor was the flexibility and adaptability of Islam in different cultures. Islam is a universal religion that applies to all people, but it also takes into account the diversity of cultures and traditions around the world. In Southeast Asia, Islam was able to blend with local customs and traditions, making it easier for people to accept and practice. For example, some Islamic rituals were adapted to local customs, such as celebrating certain festivals during Islamic holidays. This flexibility allowed Islam to take root more easily in Southeast Asian societies while maintaining its original spirit. The fourth factor was the support of local rulers for the spread of Islam. Many rulers in Southeast Asia saw Islam as a way to strengthen their power and prestige. They also recognized the importance of trade and cultural ties with the Islamic world and believed that embracing Islam would help them achieve that. Therefore, they provided facilities for Muslim merchants and encouraged their subjects to convert to Islam. This support from the leaders helped accelerate the spread of Islam in Southeast Asia. Finally, the fifth factor was the role of Muslim missionaries and scholars. While trade and cultural exchange played a big role in spreading Islam in Southeast Asia, the role of Muslim missionaries and scholars should not be overlooked. They came from different parts of the Islamic world, including the Middle East and South Asia, to teach Islam to local people and provide guidance on how to practice it. They established mosques and religious schools and wrote books in local languages to make Islam more accessible. Their efforts contributed significantly to the spread of Islam and the formation of Islamic identity in Southeast Asia. In conclusion, The spread of Islam in Southeast Asia was a gradual process that occurred over several centuries. It was not caused by one single factor, but rather a combination of factors including trade, cultural exchange, the absence of violence, the flexibility of Islam, the support of local rulers, and the efforts of Muslim missionaries. All of these factors contributed to creating a unique form of Islam in Southeast Asia that blended with local cultures and traditions while maintaining its essential principles. Today, Islam is one of the dominant religions in Southeast Asia, and Muslims play an important role in the social, economic, and political life of the region. Despite the challenges and differences that may exist among Muslims in Southeast Asia, their shared faith has created a sense of unity and cooperation that has contributed to the progress and development of the region. And so the story of the spread of Islam in Southeast Asia remains a remarkable example of how our religion can travel across continents and cultures while adapting to the diversity of human societies. And this is where our journey ends in this episode. If you like the video, please like and share it, and don't forget to subscribe to get notified when new videos are published. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode.